right, folks, let's go ahead and take our seats, and we'll go ahead and get started tonight. Let's go ahead and take our seats, guys. And we'll go ahead and get started here in just a few moments. All righty. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for everyone for coming out this evening. I know that this isn't our traditional banquet or award show, but thankfully we were able to get together to do something to honor, to recognize the kids and all the achievements that they've made this season. I'd like to start out by saying thank you for Mr. Rawlings for coming out tonight and supporting us all year. I'd like to thank Mr. Dunn for helping me set up today and with everything with the audiovisual. I'd like to thank Coach Dave for all the help this season and helping me out today, getting everything ready. Thank you, Coach Dave. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to break up tonight's evening into 3 sections. We're going to have the first section be the year in review. Then we're going to go ahead and give out awards. Then our last section, we're going to wrap up with our goals for next season. So hopefully this works. Nope. Nope. Okay. Nope. Okay. I guess we're gonna, is it working back there? Okay, so our year started out a little slow. We didn't get to start off like we normally would with our conditioning starting 3 weeks before the start of the school year. We had to wait until about the 3rd week of school. We had some interesting events with Coach Dave swimming with the alligator before morning practice. And you know, we had 7 dual meets, or 7 meets total, including the dual meets and the invitational and all the regular championship season from there. So next slide. Our dual meet season, we went 6-1. We had 4 dual meets. 3 of them were double duels, and 1 of them that was an away meet. The girls and boys were able to defeat Atlantic, Father Lopez, Mainland, Matanzas, NSB, and New Smyrna. The boys lost to Father Lopez last year, and the girls lost to New Smyrna this year, so those were 2 that we were able to pick up. Our largest margin of victory this season was 88-13 versus University, and the only loss was to DeLand, 87-85, and they are, so next slide, moving on to our next section. We didn't have the traditional 5-star this year. We had the 5-star invitational, but it was basically 5-star. And our boys were able to finish in 3rd place behind Spruce Creek and DeLand, both of which are 4A schools, even though we are a 2A school. So next slide. Moving on to championship season, we had a boy qualify in every individual event for regionals except for the 100 free. All 6 relays advanced to regionals as well. And Logan was able to make it to state in the 100 backstroke. We had a few other swimmers that were very close too. Claire Cassidy was only a few seconds off in the 100 free. Andrew Randolph was only a couple seconds off in the 200 free. So we have some things to look forward to next season. So next slide, please. At states, Logan was able to earn a PR in the 100 back and a school record and finished 18th in the state, missing out on finals by just a few. And that's our season there. So we're going to go ahead and move on to awards. As we go through awards, guys, as we're calling out names, please go ahead and come on up to receive your award and then move on through. We're going to start out with our first set of awards for our team moms. So if they're here, Miss Kofer, Mrs. Hines, Mrs. Ochipa, Mrs. Rodriguez, Mrs. Cassidy, Mrs. Claire, Mrs. Pigliacampi, and Marlena Pigliacampi, please come up on stage. Anybody? No.
That was so nice. Thank you. Good. Sweet.
Marlene, can I make it?
She's coming.
Okay, well, you can take it for her. Thanks for everything. All right. So the next award that we have is a new one that is something that I wanted to bring from Spruce Creek that Coach Steve always made a big part of it. It's called the Golden Triangle. So the idea behind the Golden Triangle is that when it comes to coaching in sports or athletics or in education also, you need all three people on the same page. You need the parent in one corner driving the kid to the practice, signing the checks, getting the equipment, taking them to the meets, all that. You need the coach there in the other corner, and them both coming together to make sure the student or the athlete is getting everything that they need to be able to focus on their athletics. So Mr. Clare, thank you for coming up and getting the honorary first Golden Triangle.
I enjoyed the season, everybody.
All right, next up will be our first-year swimmers with Avery Dellinger, Addie Hannapel, Marin Lage, Kenzie Stewart, John Hudson, Dylan Caney, Dante DiPietro, and Tristan McCann. Go, Dante. Great job this season. All right, let's make sure we got it. Mr. Hudson, awesome job this season. You're going to be a great dress stroker one day. Miss Stewart, there you go. Here's your note. Marin, awesome job this season. Appreciate everything. Mr. McCann, I see yourself up here. Linda O'Kane. There you go. Have a good one. All right. All right, next up we have our second-year swimmers. So this is Stacy Allison, Tegan Pytel, Joseph Kofer, Edward Davidson, Alexander Denninger, Taj Harrell, Ethan Kearney, Cole Long, Caleb Orchard, and Brandon Rodriguez. Guys, come on up and get your certificate. Awesome job this season, Ethan. Appreciate it. Okay, there you go. Awesome job this season. All right, see, good job on that 500. All right. Moving on next to our third-year swimmers, Claire Cassidy, Andrea Gorcha, Ella Chandler, Cheyenne Justice, Amber Hanstein, Alexa Wooten, Brody Ochippa, Andrew Randolph, Bryce Wooten, and Caleb Wooten. Come on up and get your certificates.
Thank you, Coach John.
And finally, our fourth year swimmers, Amaria Hines, Courtney Clare, Colin Alexander, and Logan Pigliacampi. All right, and moving on next, we have our special awards. Our first one is going to be a new one for this year, and it's the most versatile award. For the girl, we have Tegan Pytel and Colin Alexander. I don't think Tegan's here. Colin was always one of those kids that was always willing to do whatever you wanted to. At the end of regionals, he actually came up to me and told me about how when he started freshman year, he started with a bunch of his friends. They all said, we're going to do swimming all 4 years. He was the only person in his friend group to actually commit to doing that. Colin's good. Colin's a good kid. He's going to be fine. All right, moving on to our next special award is for Most Improved. For girls, we have Stacy Allison, and for boys, we have Caleb Orchard. Caleb really had an outstanding season this year. He really kicked it into gear. A lot of boys from that freshman to sophomore year, they have that growth spurt, and Caleb really did. Caleb, unfortunately, missed out on our championship season, but with his 100 free split in the 400 free relay, he would have won 5-star. Stacy Allison, she went out and actually signed up for Hydro 4 over the summer, got her butterfly really mastered down, and she made it to regionals herself this season too. So good job, Stacy.
Thank you.
And then finally, for our MVPs, we have Claire Cassidy and Logan Pigliacampi. Both Claire and Logan were our highest point scorers throughout all of our dual meet season. They were always willing to swim whatever events that they needed. Logan and Claire both really stepped up as leaders this season as well. Claire and Logan telling other people to get off the wall and that kind of thing in practice. Always keep up the good work, guys. Good job, Claire. Good job, Logan. All right, so now into our last section of the show tonight, and it's looking towards 2021. So hopefully everything will be normal and we'll get to start practice the 3 weeks before the start of school like it should be normally. We plan to continue to use the mixed morning and afternoon practice schedule, especially want to get morning practices on Friday. That way the kids aren't, a lot of kids doing band or want to go to football games on Fridays so that they're not dealing with that. And that way we just get to avoid those afternoon storms, especially early on in the season. We're probably going to be looking at around 7 dual meets next year, probably 3 away, 4 away, 3 home. Only going to need a bus for 2 of them next year. We'll probably take a bus down to New Smyrna and a bus over to University next year. Then we'll have Atlantic and Father Lopez in town. So moving forward next, our keys to success looking forward on building, we got to make sure we're keeping our numbers up and we got to make sure we're getting year-round swimmers. Next slide. Adding numbers with Coach Dave and myself, both on campus as gen ed teachers. We're really getting word out about the team. We have a lot of younger swimmers. We have a lot of kids that are telling their friends, and I know Coach Dave's talking to kids about getting them to do lifeguarding. If you have any friends that are doing junior lifeguard, or they can do the lifeguard thing, they do soccer with you or whatever, go ahead and try to get them to come out next year. I'm getting in touch with Miss Camp to make sure that the school website is our page on the school website is up to date so people can get into contact with us, because I hate when you hear a kid say like, oh, I would have joined the swim team, but I didn't know we had one, that kind of thing. So I want to make sure that doesn't happen. And next slide. Moving on to the year-round swimming, all the best teams have club tie-ins like Patriot Aquatics over at Lake Brantley, Rocket Swimming down in Brevard County, and Spruce Creek had DBS back in the day when they were winning their state championships. If you want to go to state, you got to train year-round most of the time, and you need to attend practice and train correctly. If you want to be serious about swimming, it is a year-round sport. I know it's not fun getting out there in December, February, May, or March, or in all those cold months, but you really have to do it. So next slide. When it comes to the summer training schedule, we have two main options for you in town. Hydro 4 is the Y-owned club team, so they're going to be practicing at the Ormond Y. They'll have morning practices. Coach Corey is going to be doing it. I'm going to be volunteer coaching with him up there. USRP is the other team in town. It's run by Father Lopez's coach and Spruce Creek's coach. They use the USRP like ultra short race-based training. We don't do that. But if you want to try something different and go out to Coach Rob, he's a great guy. He can show you a lot. He's over at the Cypress Aquatic Center by Daytona Toyota. Moving on to the next slide. So these are your state cutoff times. If you're looking to try to go to state next year, these are the times that you're going to be wanting to go. So think about that. It's basically, with the way that state works, the top two from each region go, and then the rest of the spots are up for time. So these times can change. Like you never know. Like last year, a freshman won the 50 and went like a 23 in the girls. So you never know what's going to happen. But this should give you like a ballpark of where you need to be if you really want to get to state next year. And looking through times, I've been talking to other parents about this throughout the season. And next slide, something that I wanted to work on is gathering team records. I feel like it's a great motivational tool for kids to know about the people that came before them and how to get their name up on the wall. I've talked to Mr. Montgomery about getting a record board in the gym. He's trying to get away from having clutter on the walls, and he's actually started a virtual like Hall of Fame. If you go into the gym now, and in like the little trophy room, there's a touch board, and it has all the records and stuff from the other sports. So I'm compiling all of our records, and I'm sending it into him, and I'm going to start getting like people of like interest, so like Lane Beauregard, or people that are Victor Toth, or those people from way back in the day, trying to get those records like squared away so our kids know like what they need to do to get to those records. So you can see some of, this is our girls' records. It's not completely accurate. It's the best I can do with the information that's available online. Digging through old yearbooks, most of the time they don't have the real times in there and that kind of thing, but might as well start somewhere with it. And go ahead and switch to the next slide. There are boys' records. You can see some of them are pretty new. We actually have, I went through mostly back all the way through like, when you get to about 2010, the records get a little bit sketchy, but most of these are pretty accurate. Like Victor Toth's years, when he was here, they seem to have focused on the 200 or the 200 relays, not the 400, so that one's real. Ethan and Logan's and Andrew's records seem to be accurate, so congratulations. And I'd like to close things out tonight with some goals for our 2021 season. This year we finished with 35 swimmers on the team at the end of the year. I want to have 40 swimmers at the end of next season. I want to have a top 3 team finish at 5-star, have a qualifier in every event for regionals, and have a relay and an individual qualifier for state this year. So that is it for me. Thank you guys for all coming out this evening. I really appreciate it. We had an awesome season.